The Manhattan skyline was expected to be mostly lit for the first time in 5 days Friday night, a sign of progress undercut by long gas lines and anger over plans to go ahead with the New York City Marathon while thousands of residents still had no power or, for some, no place to live. Mayor Michael Bloomberg defended his decision to hold the 26-2-mile race as scheduled on Sunday, although many New Yorkers complained it would be insensitive and divert city resources at a time when many are suffering. "You have to keep going and doing. Thank you for trying, verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Things. You can grieve and you can cry and you can laugh, and that's what human beings are good at," Bloomberg said at a news conference. "New York has to show that we are here and we are going to recover, and can help businesses and people at the same time." Bloomberg said the marathon would give people something to cheer about in what has been a very dismal week for a lot of people. The mayor said Con Edison hoped to resolve most Manhattan outages by midnight Friday. "The news is not as good for the thank you for trying, verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased." City's outer boroughs, where customers may not have electricity until mid-November. 4 days after Sandy slammed the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, the U.S. death toll climbed past 90 in 10 states, and included 2 young brothers who were torn from their mother's grasp by rushing floodwaters in Staten Island during the storm. Their bodies were found in a marshy area on Thursday. With fuel deliveries in the east disrupted by storm damage and many gas stations lacking electricity to run their pumps, gasoline became a precious commodity, especially for those who depend on their cars for their livelihoods. "Thank you for trying, verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased." Some drivers complained of waiting 3 and 4 hours in line, only to see the pumps run dry when it was almost their turn. Others ran out of gas before they reached the front of the line. Police officers were assigned to gas stations to maintain order. In Queens, a man was charged Thursday with flashing the gun at another motorist who complained he was cutting in line. At a Hess station early Friday in the Avenue section of Brooklyn, the line snaked at least 10 blocks through narrow, busy streets. That caused confusion among other drivers. "Thank you for trying, verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased." Some of whom accidentally found themselves in the gas line. People got out of their cars to yell at them. In addition, at least 60 people were lined up to fill red gas cans for their generators. Vince Levin got in line in his van at 5 a.m. By 8 a.m., he was still 2 dozen cars from the front. "I had a half tank when I started. I've got a quarter tank now," he said. "There's been a little screaming, a little yelling. And I saw one guy banging on the hood of a car. But mostly it's thank you for trying, verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased." "Been okay," he said. Cab driver Adam Prince joined the line for gas in Manhattan that stretched 17 blocks down 10th Avenue, with about half the cars yellow cabs, the crucial means of getting around in the city with a still crippled mass transit system. "I don't blame anybody," he said. "God, He knows why He brought this storm." More 3.8 million homes and business in the east were still without power, down from a peak of 8.5 million. Still, across the New York metropolitan area, there were signs that life was beginning to return to something approaching normal. "Thank you for trying, verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased." More subway and rail lines started operating again Friday, and the Highland Tunnel into New York was open to buses. In New Jersey, Governor Chris Christie said Atlantic City's 12 casinos could reopen immediately after a nearly 5-day shutdown for Superstorm Sandy. Sandy slammed into the shoreline Monday night just a few miles from Atlantic City, which was flooded and lost a section of its world-famous boardwalk but fared much better than other parts of New Jersey's coast. The prospect of better times ahead did little to mollify residents who spent another day and night in the "thank you for trying" verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. "Dark. It's too much. You're in your house. You're freezing," said Geraldine Giordano, 82, a lifelong resident of the West Village. Near her home, city employees had set up a sink where residents could get fresh water, if they needed it. There were few takers. "Nobody wants to drink that water," Giordano said. There was increasing worry about the elderly. community groups have been going door to door on the upper floors of darkened Manhattan apartment buildings, and city workers and volunteers in hard-hit Newark, NJ, delivered meals to seniors and others stuck in their buildings. It's been "Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Mostly older folks who aren't able to get out," said Monique George of Manhattan-based Community Voices Heard. In some cases, they hadn't talked to folks in a few days. They haven't even seen anybody because the neighbors evacuated. They're actually happy that folks are checking, happy to see another person. To not see someone for a few days, in this city, it's kind of weird. On Thursday, police recovered the bodies of two brothers, ages 2 and 4, who were swept away after the SUV driven by their mother, Glenda Moore, stalled in Sandy's floodwaters Monday evening. "Terrible, thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Absolutely terrible," Police Commissioner Raymond Kelly said as he announced that Brandon and Connor had been found dead. "It just compounds all the tragic aspects of this horrific event. The discovery was another heartbreaking blow to Staten Island, a hard-hit borough that residents complain has been largely forgotten. At least 19 people have been killed in Staten Island, about half the death toll for all of New York City. Garbage piled up, the stench hung in the air, and mud-caked mattresses and couches lined the borough streets. Residents picked through their belongings, searching for anything that could be "Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Salvage. We have hundreds of people in shelters," said James Molinaro, the borough's president. "Many of them, when the shelters close, have nowhere to go because their homes are destroyed. These are not homeless people. They're homeless now." Molinaro complained the American Red Cross is nowhere to be found, and some residents questioned what they called the lack of a response by government disaster relief agencies. The relief fund is being created just for storm survivors on Staten Island, Molinaro and former Mayor Rudolph Giuliani said Friday. And Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano and a top federal "Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased." The Emergency Management Agency official planned to tour the island. Staten Island President George Rosado blasted the Bloomberg for the decision to hold the marathon Sunday. "It's repulsive," said Rosado, who spent 2 days scrubbing sludge from his tiled floors and was preparing to demolish the waterlogged walls of his home a block from the water. "They should be getting resources to the elderly people who can't fend for themselves. That's more important than a marathon right now." Along the devastated Jersey Shore, residents were allowed back in their neighborhoods Thursday for the first time since Sandy. "Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased." Slammed to the coast. Some were relieved to find only minor damage, but many others were wiped out. "A lot of tears are being shed today," said Dennis Coolchey, whose home near the ocean in Point Pleasant Beach was heavily damaged. "It's absolutely mind-boggling,"